Okay, we're looking at Bloom's Literature. It's a database that we have when we're going to be researching either literary criticism or anything having to do with literary authors and or literary movements. So I can either type in, like I did here, Harlem Renaissance, or I can come over here and look at the different types of resources that are available. I could choose to look up an author. We could click on one of these authors if we were interested, but they're not really, they don't, these guys right here don't have anything to do with the Renaissance. So obviously we're not going to choose that route for this research assignment. So I'm going to look at this literary movements part. So whenever I see links on a database that we can browse, I like to choose those and see what comes up if available. But of course, we can always put in our search terms here at the top. So let's just give this a try. Literary movements. Okay, let's scroll down and see if we can find Harlem Renaissance in here. Oh, yes, there it is. Okay, click on that. All right, so we've got a lot of results here, over 1,000. So this might look interesting. If you were working on this author, again, you guys are all choosing different authors or literature movements, anything having to do with the Harlem Renaissance. You may be looking at artists, musicians, and so on. You may or may not find things on musicians and artists in here. It's totally possible because we are looking at this as a literary movement. It was also an art movement. It was a social movement. It was a pride movement in a good sense of the term, having pride in one's self, especially if you were of a class that was not valued at point of time, which we know is part of our American history, unfortunately. The Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance, had a lot to speak about with that, with racial pride, um, being at one with your race, and and how you felt about how one felt about themselves. That was a large part of it. You may remember, or if you've looked into anything having to do with Marcus Garvey and his political and social activism, um, that was often a topic that came up. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here at this point, if these were the topics I was choosing. Okay. And we also want to tie it to a literary author that you may have read in class. So I'm choosing to look for Langston Hughes as one of our literary authors, and also kind of what was happening in the Harlem Renaissance. Okay, so right here, I'm not looking at Zora Neale right now. So I'm going to first look here and just see what Bloom's literature has to say. So Bloom's is based on the literary critic who was very prolific in writing articles of criticism about literature, especially the American canon. So this is a database that's based on his writings and his group of editors and authors who did lots of scholarly journals. This is all more scholarly journals. They're represented in books, ebooks, and so on, and they've digitized it and put it out here for us. So this is a very helpful thing, a very helpful database. So here we have an article. The literature of Harlem Renaissance sprang from a motivation to write about Black heroes and heroic episodes from American history, as well as the need for African Americans to express a franker and deeper revelation of the Black self. Okay, so this looks like an article of what I want to focus my research on. Again, you may be doing a totally different research topic, but this is just an example for you how to use the database. Again, if you look across the top here, there are ways to save it, print, share it, download it, and so on. And of course, you can cite it. You will always have those available in each database we use. So this sounds pretty good. They're talking about W.E.B. Du Bois and the Harlem Renaissance. So we have quite a few names of people here. I'm taking a look here. Okay. I like a lot of these. Okay, so I will probably save this. I can download it if I like. Okay, you can try that if you need to. I'm not going to litter up my computer right now, but this is something that we can do. Okay. Okay, again, I'm just taking a quick look. You're just scanning. This is an example of scanning. All right. So I'm going to go back to the results list. This one looks good. Within the history of African American literature. Okay, we're listing activists. Here's the Great Migration. I'm seeing a lot of familiar terms from my previous research. And here we're talking path to racial equity. Okay. All right. So again, you just have to really look closely and see if you want to use a particular article. Okay. I'm going to go back. All right. So there's a couple of articles that we like. Again, you may come back and research and say, this is not what I'm looking for. It all depends on what it is that you need. And the keywords and concepts that you've come up with in your research process. Okay. So bye for now. We'll move on to JSTOR as another introduction to literature and to any topic, to criticism, to scholarly research, where we'll look at JSTOR next.